The RTX 4090, RTX 4080, and RTX 4080 were announced. What are the real rasterization performance gains you can expect this generation? And does the performance increase justify the price increase? Let's get into it. nVidia announced the RTX 4000 GPUs at GTC, and while Jensen's claim of 2 to 4 times improvements in performance, and that sounds great for marketing, they are also with a lot of caveats. It was clear in the presentation that nVidia greatly focused on ray tracing this generation, and to help improve the frame rates with ray tracing on, they now also have DLSS 3.0. And with that focus, this generation will provide much better ray tracing performance than in the RTX 3000 series. But what about the rasterization performance? What kind of performance can we expect with these new GPUs without DLSS and ray tracing? What about just pure rasterization? nVidia did not focus on that area or provide much information. However, we can glean some performance levels from what they said and a chart they provided. Let's start with the most controversial one, the RTX 4080 12GB, or what I will refer to as the RTX 4080 Imposter. I call it an imposter since it is based on a much smaller die. From the leaks, that die was rumored to be used in the RTX 4070. While nVidia didn't disclose the dies used in each, Galax posted the specs of the RTX 40 series and confirmed the leaks. The 4080 with 12GB uses the AD104 die. For those who don't know, the 104 level of die was used in the 3070 series of GPUs. The real 4080 with 16GB uses the AD103 die. How does nVidia release two 80 series GPUs, each called a 4080, and still have them with two different die levels and size? This is unprecedented. For those in doubt if this is really the RTX 4070, you just have to wait for the proof. Confirmation will come next year. When nVidia does release the 4070, then you can be sure it will use the same 104 die, just cut down with fewer active CUDA cores. Now the 4080 Imposter was said to be equivalent to the 3090 Ti. Well, the 70 series of the new generation have always been similar in performance to the 80 Ti of the previous generation. Check out this video for that history lesson. Now you're going to say, but this is a 90 Ti, not the 80 Ti, so everything moves up a number. Well, no. Looking at the specs of the 3090 Ti, the 3090, and the 3080 Ti, they all use the same GA102 die. The 3090 Ti has 84 SMs, the 3090 has 82, and the 3080 Ti has 80 SMs. They only differ by a total of 4 SMs, or just 5%. So if you say it's like a 3090 Ti, then it's also like a 3080 Ti, as we'll see later. It's just more impressive to say the $899 4080 12GB is like a $2,000 3090 Ti, rather than the $899 4080 12GB is like an $1,199 3080 Ti. But with that comparison, we did learn one important fact, that 60 ADA SMs is roughly equivalent to 84 Ampere SMs. Also, nVidia provided a comparison chart where 3 of the games could be used to understand rasterization levels. So I went back to my old bag of tricks and started counting pixels. Yeah, like I did 2 years ago in the Big Navi versus Ampere battle. When you look carefully, you see that the 4080 Imposter trails in all 3 games against the 3090 Ti. In Resident Evil Village, the 4080 Imposter is at 90% of the performance of the 3090 Ti. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the 4080 Imposter is at 95%, and in The Division 2, the 4080 Imposter is ever so slightly behind at 99.4%. So in the 3-game average, the 4080 Imposter is 94.8% of the 3090 Ti, or to put it another way, it lags the 3090 Ti by about 5%. So the performance is more like a 3090 or 3080 Ti. It will be interesting to see how the 4080 Imposter compares to the 3080 Ti in native 4K without any DLSS. With its limited bandwidth, I think the 3080 Ti pulls ahead. And the difference in performance from the 4080 Imposter to a 3080 with 10GB is about 13%. So the price went from $699 in the 3080 to $899 in the 4080 Imposter, which is a 29% increase in price for a 13% improvement in rasterization performance. That's not a generational upgrade. You are just paying a lot more for a little performance. That should not be too surprising since the 4080 Imposter only has 60 SMs, while the 3080 10GB has 68 and the 3080 12GB has 70. A reduction in SMs from one generation to another usually leads to unimpressive generational improvements, and this is just another example. Unless you plan on using DLSS 3.0 or ray tracing extensively, you may want to get a 3080 Ti or 3090 for much less than $899. Or you can step down to a 3080 under $600 and save even more. Next is the 4080, the real 4080 with 16GB and uses the 8103 die with 76 SMs. Using that same chart, in Resident Evil Village, the 4080 is 20% faster than a 3090 Ti. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the 4080 is 19% faster. And in The Division 2, the 4080 is 18% faster. So in the 3-game average, the 4080 is 19% faster than the 3090 Ti. Considering that a 3090 Ti is 19% faster than a 3080 12GB model, we can conclude that the 4080 is about 40% faster than the 3080. So you get 40% higher rasterization performance for 71% more money. That doesn't sound like a deal. Now we can understand just how bad the 4080 and the 4080 Imposter are from a price versus performance perspective this generation. By the way, if you want to see more consumer-focused analysis like this, hit that like button, share, consider subscribing, and let me know in the comments below if you think the 4080 series are worth the money for its ray tracing capabilities. Now to the BF GPU, the RTX 4090. This thing is a monster. It is even larger than the 3090 Ti, and I thought that was the largest GPU that they would ever make. Many people have claimed that this GPU will provide double the performance. But what about the rasterization performance? The 4090 has a 128 SMs while the 3090 has just 82. That's an increase of 56%. And we already saw where the 60 SMs in the 4080 Imposter is like that of the 3090. So if you more than double the SMs from 60 to 128, then you should at least double the performance, right? Let's look at the chart nVidia provided in the 3 games. In Resident Evil Village, the 4090 is 70% faster than the 3090 Ti. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the 4090 is 49% faster. And in The Division 2, the 4090 is 64% faster. So in the 3-game average, the 4090 is 61% faster than the 3090 Ti. So you get 61% higher rasterization performance for 6% more money. That sounds like a deal, which is weird to say on a $1,500 GPU. Of course, the original 3090 was created with a made-up price that had no real foundation other than nVidia testing the market to see if people would pay that much for a card. And the miners did. nVidia did say they have overclocked the 4090 GPU to over 3 GHz. And if you are okay with more than 600 watts of power draw, then you may actually see a doubling of performance. The performance graph they provided does show a fairly linear improvement with power, and to make use of all those shaders, you will need to increase the power levels. And we do have that TimeSpar Extreme event of the RTX 4090 that was overclocked at 3 GHz, where it scored 20,000, whereas an RTX 3090 scores 10,000. So 2 times the performance. The 4090 is in a class of its own, and nVidia can choose to price it as such. Let's see if many 4090s will actually be available for that $1,599 price. In summary, you can expect to see the following performance levels. The 4080 Imposter will perform like a 3080 Ti or 3090. It provides about a 13% improvement in rasterization for a 29% increase in price. However, due to the crash of the crypto market, you may find a better deal and save some money by going to the used market, or wait for retail clearance by year's end starting with Black Friday. The real 4080 provides about a 40% increase in rasterization performance over the 3080 for 71% more money. And the BF GPU in the 4090 provides a 61% increase in rasterization over the 3090 for only 6% more money. Clearly, the price increase and whether it's worth it to you will depend on how much you value ray tracing and the use of DLSS to boost FPS in those games that support those features. It could be this generation may be more enticing for professionals and enterprise customers and those who live in the Omniverse. But there are some nagging questions I have for this release, like, why did nVidia raise prices so drastically this generation? Is Jensen betting that gamers will forever pay higher prices like the miners once did? Does this pricing open the door for AMD? To find out, we'll cover those next time. Thank you all so very much for watching. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.